Welcome to the Fairview City Board of Commissioners meeting. Tonight is Thursday, November the 7th, 2019. If you'll please stand for the prayer and pledge. Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for all the many blessings you've given us. We gather to make decisions for our community. May we only use our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us, and always act in accordance with what is best for our community and our fellow citizens. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, and I believe we have two deletions, item 5F and 9G.
Yes, sir, I believe that's correct.
Okay.
What was the first one, Mayor?
Item 5F
Okay,
and 9G.
thank you.
Ma'am.
Motion to approve the amended agenda.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Rainey, second by Commissioner Burks. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, public announcements. I believe, item 6, citizens' comments. Skipped
There are
one.
none tonight, Mayor.
None tonight. Okay, item 7, public announcements. I believe Judge Crutcher is with us this evening to make an introduction. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Blade, members of the commission. It's an honor tonight to be here to introduce Judge Mike Spitzer. Tell you a little bit about Judge Spitzer. Judge Spitzer grew up in Jackson, Tennessee, went to the University of Tennessee at Martin, graduated there with both undergraduate and graduate degrees too, in fact, in education. He went to Lewis County, resided in Lewis County, taught 8th grade, went on to be the principal at Lewis County Elementary and Lewis County High School. In 1982, he decided he wanted to go to law school and went to law school at Memphis State University, I believe it was called at the time. Graduated from law school and went back to practice law in Lewis County and practiced there for 36 years. Last year, Judge Spitzer was appointed as the 5th of the circuit judges in the 21st Judicial District, and he has served in that role, I think, since the end of 2018. He was appointed by Governor Haslam. Judge Spitzer, in his practice of law, did about near everything, from what I could tell from looking at his bio, from criminal cases, family law cases, to insurance defense, and then some state agency type laws. I think served as an administrative law judge in some capacity at one point or the other. So it's an honor tonight to introduce Judge Spitzer. I have the honor of practicing in his court, and it's an honor to introduce him to the board tonight.
Thank you, sir. Welcome, Your Honor.
Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to come before you tonight. I like to go around to the different communities, and Fairview is one of my favorite because coming from Lewis County, I've always come through Fairview in the past, and over the last 46 years, it's obvious you folks have been doing something right. Fairview has grown, and I just read yesterday, no one said it yet, but I just read yesterday where Fairview is, I think, in the top 20 safest cities. Have y'all been told that yet? It was on the news. It was in the top 20 safest cities in the state of Tennessee. So I congratulate you on that. As Judge Crutcher said, I was appointed by Governor Haslam in 2018. I'd been practicing law for 36 years in most of the southern counties of central Tennessee and some even in West Tennessee. And my primary practice over the 36 years was insurance defense work with Tennessee farmers. I represented Tennessee farmers in about 12 different counties and other counties throughout the state. Did a lot of estate work. Originally, before public defenders came into existence, I represented criminal defendants on appointment. Had a very strong estate practice and real estate practice. So almost everything that comes before me now I have done before. It's been a real pleasure, and I appreciate Governor Haslam appointing me. It wasn't on my radar, I'll be honest with you. After 36 years of practice, I wasn't. In fact, I had told a lot of judges in our circuit and other circuits, there's no way on earth I'd want to be a judge. you guys are too tied down, and you are. Since I was appointed, and I started October the 1st of 2018, I'm sitting on the bench every single day in one of the 3 counties I preside over. The legislation that created Division 5 that I serve stated that for judicial economy and travel reasons, there needed to be a judge in what a lot of times they've always called the lower counties. The 21st Judicial District, as you probably know, is made up of Williamson, Hickman, Lewis, and Perry. And in Hickman, Lewis, and Perry County, 50 years, or even 30 years ago, Williamson County and Hickman, Lewis, and Perry were very similar counties. In fact, 30 years ago, Williamson County had a population of about 54,000. And in the last 30 years, that 54,000 has gone to 210,000. Perry County has increased in population over that same 30 years, 2,000 people. So it's been a huge difference. The dynamic was the same 30 years ago. I started practicing about 37 years ago, 36, and when Elmer Davies and Henry Denmark Bell would come down to Hickman, Lewis, and Perry County, it wasn't like they were leaving an urban area. But the governor recognized, and most of the people in the 21st Judicial District recognized, the dynamic of the Hickman, Lewis, and Perry County versus Williamson County has changed so much. We need to do something to provide a judge for those 3 counties that knows the area, knows the people, knows the economics. And so for that reason, Division 5 was created, and they began looking for someone to fill that. And I went through the Judicial Nominating Commission. There were 3 names that were submitted to the governor, and Governor Haslam selected me to serve as the judge. It's been an experience for me. I've enjoyed it. I served as a judge, administrative law judge, for 12 years, doing special education work for the Department of Education while I was practicing law. But going on the bench it's been exciting. I've enjoyed getting ready for cases, and I get ready for every case that comes before me. I'll read the file, and I'm prepared to go in there, and it's been a lot of fun. My wife, in fact, when I was working as an attorney, if I was working on the weekend, she'd look over at the chair and she'd say, "You got work this weekend?" I said, "Yeah, I hate it, but I do." And now she looks over the chair, I'm working, and she said, "You got to work?" I said, "Yeah, and I'm having a good time doing it." And it is a lot of fun. I do know the people of those 3 counties, and I'll be on the ballot on March the 3rd. Under the legislation that was passed, I started in 2018, and then I run in next year, and it goes to 2020, then 2022, I run again. So it's going to keep me kind of busy doing that. But I'm here to let you people know who I am, Mike Spitzer, and I'm the Division 5 Circuit Judge for the 21st Judicial District. I live in Lewis County. I have a wife, 3 children, 8 grandchildren. I did teach school and enjoyed that. In fact, I talked to the Retired Teachers Association yesterday in Lewis County, and when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, I told them I remember the day when in my school we started the day off with a Bible verse, Pledge of Allegiance, and played the national anthem every morning. And it was good times doing that, and that was a good experience for me. I was a high school principal for a while, and then went to law school. I went to law school in 1979, worked in Memphis for a while for a corporation before I came back to Lewis County. Came back to this area up here because it's the best area in the state, number 1. It's a beautiful country we have. My grandfather was a trapper. He was born in 1898, and I followed along his footsteps in West Tennessee, and we walked the Forked Deer River bottom and Hatchie River bottom many days, and I got lost a lot of times, but I thought growing up that muddy water and swamps was all you had till I crossed the Buffalo River at Linden going to a wedding in Tullahoma, and I said, that must be God's country. And so we settled up here, raised a family, and it's been very good for us. I'm fortunate and blessed to be the Division 5 judge. I appreciate you folks sending the message, and I've got a campaign committee that we started back in June. Some of you may have seen or heard of us. I've been to all the barbecues and all the ice cream suppers. Flat Creek's got one over there, by the way. I don't know if y'all have ever been to it, but they're the best ice cream I've ever had. So I've got it on my calendar for next year. But I've enjoyed the campaign. I've met a lot of good people. Rogers Anderson took me around in the administrative complex in Franklin the other day, and he's on board, Julian Bill, Austin Preston, Gordon Emmons there. We just got a lot of good, strong backers, and I owe that to the campaign. Connie Chadwick is here. She's one of our campaign workers, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not a politician, and if it had not been for people that Lee Davies and my 4 colleagues on the bench, I'd be here, but I wouldn't be here with the kind of position power, I guess, I got behind it as people like Connie have. But it's a real pleasure coming before you. If anybody has any question about Division 5, there's a lot of talk about separating Williamson County off from Hickman, Lewis, and Perry. It passed the Senate actually last year as the 32nd Judicial District. Williamson County is growing so fast to meet the judicial needs. When Division 5 was created, it opened up 21 judicial days for the judges sitting in Franklin. Made a huge difference for them, and it continues to grow. You guys see what Fairview's doing. It's just continuing to grow and a great place to live, but the judiciary is going to need to even increase probably from that. But Division 5 has assisted them. It's helped us take care of Hickman, Lewis, and Perry County. It's 20-minute drive from me at either one of the courthouses, so it doesn't take me very long to get there. I know the people in those areas. I know the dynamic, and it makes a real difference. I hear criminal cases and civil cases. Hear murder trials down to orders of protection, and today I just left Hickman County, 2-day trial to finish up tomorrow on a parental modification case. But I'm having a good time doing it. I told my preacher, he asked me one day, he said, "How's everything going?" And I said, well, more often than not lately, I've driven home and said, "God, you got me into this, you take care of it." And that's the way I felt about it. So I appreciate being here. It's a real pleasure to meet with you, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Mayor Blade and Commissioners, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Connie Chadwick. I grew up here in Fairview. I live in Spring Hill now, but spent my entire youth here in Fairview, went to Fairview schools. I am an attorney, a member of the Williamson County Bar, and I serve, as Judge Spitzer said, I'm on his reelection committee. I wanted to cordially invite all of you to the official kickoff for our campaign, which is next Thursday night from 5 to 7 at Puckett's in downtown Franklin. We will have live entertainment, food. We would love to see every one of you there. I am going to leave these official invites on the table right here if any of you would like this. I know Mayor Blade has my phone number. If anybody needs more details, you can get my number from him. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Connie, and thank you, Your Honor, for being here tonight.
Thank you all.
All right, we'll go back to item 5, public hearings. Item 9B, Vice Mayor Rainey.
A resolution to annex certain territory upon written consent of the owners and to incorporate the same within the boundaries of the city of Fairview, Tennessee.
And we will open the public hearing for 9B. Is there anyone here to speak on that behalf? Hearing none, we'll close the hearing on 9B and open the hearing on item 9C. Vice Mayor Rainey.
Turn the page. Ordinance 2019-26, an ordinance establishing operational rules and guidelines for leaves and foliage to be collected through the residential leaf pickup service.
Is there anyone to speak on item 9C? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing on 9C and open the public hearing on item 9D. Vice Mayor Rainey.
Ordinance number 2019-27, an ordinance amending City of Fairview Municipal Code, Section 17-101, entitled Definitions, to include paragraph 8, defining leaf and foliage waste. I'm sorry, again, the stamp is over the word.
Is there anyone here to speak on item 9D? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing on 9D and open the public hearing on 9E.
Ordinance number 2019-28, an ordinance amending City of Fairview Municipal Code, Section 17-110, entitled Violations, to include leaf and foliage waste.
Is there anyone here to speak on item 9E? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing on 9E and open the public hearing on 9F. Vice Mayor Rainey.
Ordinance 2019-29, an ordinance establishing operational rules and guidelines for brush, materials, and debris to be processed by the city's chipper service.
Is there anyone here to speak on item 9F? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing on 9F and open the public hearing on 9H. Vice Mayor Rainey.
Ordinance 2019-31, an ordinance of the City of Fairview, Tennessee to amend the zoning ordinance as it pertains to Article 17, Administration and Enforcement, Section 17-103, Required Plans, subsection 103-2, Master Development Plans.
Is there anyone here to speak on item 9H? Seeing none, we close the public hearing on 9H. We go to item 8, staff comments and monthly reports. The police report, Chief Humphreys. Welcome, sir.
We'll run through this. First is the personnel report. Staffing, we went from 20 last month. We're up to 21. As you know, Scott's probably told y'all we added an additional person, which we made it 21 mark. We should have 22, though. We got someone out on leave, so we're down one guy there. Overtime was 52 hours. The difference from last month being 0. We had in-service this month. Being short on the day shift, we had to utilize some personnel on overtime to come in and cover those shortages and encourage some overtime against that. Training hours are pretty consistent, 248 against 260 the last month. Operational report, these calls for service are self-initiated. Pretty close, 909 last month, and then in the month before, 844 last month, so pretty consistent. The arrest was up from 67 to 82, a couple of domestics, 3 DUIs. Drug charges were down a little bit, and theft charges back up. And again, those stem largely from shoplifting type calls. We've not had home invasions or anything like that. Citations at 77, traffic accidents at 21. The property damage on that's 20 and 1 injury, and we're so fortunate that it continues with no fatalities here. The public relations for the month, we did the extra patrol in the neighborhoods for Halloween, and we're honored every year to do that. We try to saturate as many neighborhoods as we can, have a presence in those neighborhoods, and just reach out to the community and show them that we're there and build some relationships. Just remind people, again, that our internet purchase exchange location is down here at the parking lot of PD. During business hours, I've not seen anybody utilize that yet, but we hope that during those off hours at night, stuff people are utilizing that location for a safe exchange. And then just remind the citizens that we do the car seat installation checks. We have officers on all shifts. You might catch one on his day off, but if you come in or call, we'll schedule that time for you to either show up here at PD or my officers will come to your location and check those car seats. And then the additional for the month is if we've hired Andrew Gunn. He's former correctional officer at TDOC. He was hired by Centerville. They had some employment issues with, they didn't have the spot they thought they had for him. Sent him through the academy sort of as an act of kindness because they didn't have that position open. We had a position open, saw that he was a really good fit for us and grabbed him up, and he's a certified officer. He's currently in the FTO program and should be on the street soon. So if you see Officer Gunn, it's a new face. Please introduce yourself and welcome him here. Anything else?
Chief, I saw so many posts on Facebook about how wonderful it was that y'all were out Halloween night interacting with the kids, so
We're
thank
thankful to be able
you.
to do that we can get out and do that. We're honored, and the officers enjoy that. We do buy some candy and allow them to give that out, and that's been a good thing since I've been here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, thank you.
Item 8B, the fire report, Chief Hughes. Welcome, sir.
Mayor, Commissioners. For the month of October, we had 103 emergency response calls. During that breakdown, we had 6 overlapping incidents that occurred this past month. We had 6 automatic or mutual aid calls to surrounding counties or surrounding districts. We had 5 incidents that required a fire to be extinguished, 2 motor vehicle fires, 1 chimney fire, an excavator that caught on fire, and a grass or brush fire. We also had one lengthy recovery operation that had us on scene for about 4 hours one day. And then we had a large-scale interagency water supply drill in the industrial park that we invited some of our surrounding districts in to help out with, to get some training with other agencies that we don't normally get to train with. We also had 8 public education interactions and interacted with about 762 kids this month. I think we're a little ahead, but the breakdown in calls, medical calls led the way again with 58 or 56% of the calls. We had 13 motor vehicle accidents, no fatalities, as the chief said, and we had 5 fires. Training hour breakdown for the month, we had 435 training hours total. And the pie chart shows the breakdown, again, NFPA 101 company drills and the daily training leads the way. It's just some on-scene pictures that we had from a couple of incidents. Again, I'd like to remind residents, if they need smoke detectors, please contact the fire department. We installed a few this month. People were calling and setting up appointments. Another thing I'd like to remind everybody about is if you have an emergency, your first call should always be 911. Lately, we've had a lot of people calling the station first. It just slows down the response time. So I'd just like to remind everybody to call 911 if you have an emergency. Questions?
Thank you, Chief. Item 8C, the Public Works Report. Mr. Sullivan. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Board. Got 2 things, 2 divisions with the streets and the parks. As y'all heard last month, Chipper was finished last month, so we ended that the fourth Tuesday of October. Went the 5th Tuesday since we had that one extra and did a full sweep of the city. So some stuff that was left out, put back out, whatever. We did one full sweep and took care of that. We are now on the leaf pickup. We've got the little image up here. But again, this year we're doing bags, 10 bags per month per resident. Those can be picked up at City Hall, Police Department, Fire Department, and then the Public Works Community Building there on Bowie Lake Road. As far as the park, I don't know if y'all have been out to the park. I encourage 5 of y'all, but also all the citizens, park, walk out. We've got several lakes that this time of year are absolutely beautiful. I've seen several Facebook posts. I put up a couple myself, but you've got some absolutely beautiful areas out. Get out, walk. It's going to be cold this weekend, but a couple warm days next week, so get out, check it out. When you're there, if you take pictures, put them on Instagram, put them on Facebook. You can tag the park, the nature center, both in those. While you're there, also go by and check out Nature Center. They've got several events I know coming up this month. We have nature strollers, hike with naturalists, nature explorers, and investigators. So check out those. Anybody that's interested in that, that's online. It's on Facebook. It's on the park's website. But get by, check out the park. We've got a lot of people that have put a lot of time into that. We've got the guys and ladies that work there, but we have volunteers absolutely every day that are out putting in a lot of time just to make what I call the gym of the city really a gym. It really is pretty out there, and they do a lot of work out there. So that's where we are with Public Works, Parks, and Streets. Any questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item 8D, City Manager Report. Mr. Collins.
Yes, Mayor, members of the commission, I have a couple of items for you tonight, or actually four. The first is we have a work session scheduled for 2 weeks from tonight, the 21st. That's going to be a pretty important work session. We're going to meet from 5:45 until 7. The primary things we need to review is just a standard financial update, financial condition for the city, which is a little better than where we were last year and a little better than where we expected to be this year. So we'll get into that. just to kind of go through the process from where we are for this year and move forward to the amended budget, which we're going to do a little early this year. We typically have attempted to do the amended budget in January, February. We'll do that in December. So the work session for the 21st will be fairly important from that standpoint. Also, we're going to take a look at some benefits as they relate to long-term with the city, so we need to take some time for those. So I know that everybody's stressed for time. I know there's a lot goes on, but if we could start that at 5:45, we'll work right up until 7 o'clock. If we need to stay a few minutes after, we can stay a few minutes after. The next item I have for you is I handed out to you prior to the meeting an email that I sent out a couple of weeks ago regarding the city's receipt of funds for the playground. We've talked recently about, as donations come in for the park, whether or not those donations come into the city or they're made to the Friends of Bowie Nature Park. And I know that they're being very active in assisting the Park and Landscape Board. For the dollars that come into the city, we can put those into the park fund. As you know, the park fund has its separate checking account, and within that, we have line items and securities for any dollars that come in. So for the city's receipt of funds, we have those secured within the park fund itself. For dollars that come to the Friends of Bowie Nature Park, we want to make sure that we preserve those and secure them as best we can. You may recall the email that I sent out had a few suggestions for contracting with the Friends of Bowie Nature Park so that we could have a partnership with them for the receipt of those funds, and through that contract impose some protections through insurance and other things so that the city can guarantee to the citizen, the corporation, or whatever agency or group that donates, that we can assure that those funds will be available for the park playground project in the future. So if you would, take an opportunity to review this email. If you could send me something back and let me know of any questions you have, that would be a help. In lieu of that, I will get with Mr. Potter. We'll make sure we move forward with some sort of contractual agreement we can present to you and provide to the Friends of Bowie so we can get that underway. Obviously, there's a lot of participation with fundraising for the park. There's no doubt it will be a success. We want to make sure that we do everything we can to ensure the security of those funds. The next thing I have for you is a series of stapled pages. They are the bylaws for the Industrial Development Board of the City of Fairview, Tennessee. As we move forward with some work that relates to possible retail and/or commercial development within the city, the Industrial Development Board can be a valuable partner in that process. The Industrial Development Board, by nature, operates separately from the city, and it has some financial opportunities and funding opportunities in and of itself that the city doesn't necessarily have. So what I have for you tonight is simply the bylaws. There are a couple things I would like to address. And again, this is not a test, just information for moving forward. The first highlighted page I have for you, Section 2, states the address. In an effort to separate the Industrial Development Board from the city, I've gone and opened a post office box for the Industrial Development Board, so it now has its separate location so we can maintain the separation of any mailings, receipts, funds that go in there. We also have a financial report that's due December 31 or January 1. I complete that every year, and I'll complete that again this year, so we'll have those documents intact. Page 2 highlights that the annual meetings of the Board of Directors of this corporation shall be held at City Hall, Fairview, Tennessee, at such other place as may from time to time be designated by the chairman or the Board of Directors. Such annual meetings shall be held on the fourth Monday of January at 7:00 p.m. We want to follow back up with that. Commissioner Lucas is your member to the Industrial Development Board. I know that for the last couple of years, he's made an effort to have these meetings, but the board itself has been a little hesitant, or at least not eager to have these meetings, but I think it's important that those start back up. On the last page I have for you, it lists the members that existed for the Industrial Development Board. Mr. Cowley is still an active member of the board. Mr. Sullivan is not. an active member. Mr. Tucker is not an active member. Mr. Bryson has indicated that he prefers to be an active member, and obviously Commissioner Lucas. So as we get through the next couple of meetings, if you could consider nominees to the Industrial Development Board, if we could have those nominees in sometime before the second meeting in January, you could schedule a full meeting of the Industrial Development Board as needs to be done and work to engage that as a functioning board of the city. I'll be glad to answer any questions on that, but given the fact that our financial report is due on December 31, I felt it appropriate to move forward with the notification of the vacancies on the board. So that's all I have for you tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
I have not a question as much as a request. The Friends now have an attorney on their board. Would it be possible for you to get with the attorney on this document?
Certainly.
That might be a little easier.
Certainly, if you would just send me their contact information, I'll get that with Mr. Potter. We'll make sure we follow up
Okay.
and do that. Absolutely, yes.
Item 9, consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a first by Commissioner Lucas, a second by Vice Mayor Rainey. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, Ms. Johnson.
Commissioner Lucas,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Rainey,
Aye.
Commissioner Burks,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye.
Mayor Blade.
Aye, motion passes. Item 10, old business. A, lease agreement on property located at 7061 City Center Way.
I'll address that, Mayor. You may recall that at the last meeting, we discussed a lease agreement in which the city could lease the property directly in front of City Hall, between City Hall and First Bank. The discussion at the time was that the city would lease the property for a term of 10 years, renewable, $3,600 a year. And at such time during the 10-year term as the property owner chose to sell the property, the city would have first right of refusal at appraised value. If the city and the property owner cannot agree on appraiser, each will obtain their own appraiser, obtain their own appraisal, and the appraised value shall be the average of those two appraisals. That is unchanged from where we were before. In discussing the lease with the property owner, there were some issues with the property owner being able to approve a lease in which lease payments, in this case $3,600 a year, could be applied toward future purchase price. There are some obligations that the owner has with the investment of the property that prevents that. So what I have before you tonight is the same lease that was considered before. The only change is the discussions by which the lease payments cannot be considered a part of the future purchase. So in this case, in real numbers, if the lease was to last for 10 years and if the city was to obtain the property at appraised value, it would effectively be appraised value plus $36,000 rather than appraised value less $36,000. Either way you review that, that is an exceptional opportunity for the city and secure opportunity for the property owner. So that's the change. I think I communicated that in an email out to you. I apologize for the miscommunications back and forth between the parties. I'll take responsibility for that. I still assert that this is an opportunity for the city that we should certainly take advantage of.
Mr. Collins, the reason we want access to this property, as I understand it, A, it gives us some control over what's going to be right in front of City Hall. Additionally, it gives us the ability to buy this at a pretty good price if it comes up for sale. An example would be some properties around town, the fair market value could be a third or more than what the actual appraised value is. Sometimes it feels like this area, based on inventory, is a little overinflated as far as market value versus actual appraised value. So that creates a very good deal for us. Plus, it gives us that first right of refusal to buy that land so that we can use it in the future for whether we want to put another municipal building on that in 20 years, a new police department, whatever we will need to do. I know in the future, in the past, we've always had the issue of buyer's regret, I guess, or not having that regret. We should have bought that so that we could have built that road through this area, and now it's too late. There's houses on it. We constantly see those issues. This is for once some forward thinking that I think we've missed in the past. So just based on that, I think it's a good idea. We're investing in the future of Fairview. We're not going to buy this land to turn around and sell it to develop it or anything like that. It's for citizen use as needed in the future, so.
And as a follow-up to that, if the board approves this lease tonight, then the property owner is prepared to sign the lease tomorrow. What brought this process about was our desire to have the property cleaned up. We want the building removed, we want everything cleared from it, and have the gateway to the city, or at least City Hall, and what we have as a downtown, to be a functional, clean, attractive downtown. That was what started our discussions. So if it's approved tonight, if we get this signed and move forward, then right quickly, we will move forward with the remediation of that property, have it cleaned, and start making the highest and best use of it as we can under the terms of the lease.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Burke, second by Commissioner Dawson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Rainey.
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor Blade.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Item 11, new business, we have none. Item 12, communications from mayors and commissioners. Commissioner Burks.
A few things. I really want to thank everybody that came out on Saturday for the Pork in the Park playground fundraiser. The crowd was exceptional. I don't think myself or Commissioner Rainey thought we'd have that many people that we did, so we were very, very pleasantly surprised. It was a lot of fun. It was very nice to see the community come together, sitting down, talking, eating some really good barbecue, and just having a lot of fun. And more importantly, we raised a pretty good amount of money considering we put this together in a month and a half.
September, second week of September, I think we started this thought process.
I think we're somewhere at $11,500 and some odd dollars, if I recall correctly.
$619.
Ah, we're up. Okay. So it was an amazing event. Everyone that participated in, as far as the teams, did awesome. It was extremely cold, and more than half the teams stayed overnight. They cooked. They weathered the cold. I went home, and Miss Rainey came out early. All the citizens came out and had fun. Thank you to the police department, Public Works, fire department, everyone that helped us make this successful. We really appreciate it. We appreciate our sponsors. Hopefully it's a good place to start to kick off the fundraising for the playground. So if me and Debbie can do it, anyone can do it, trust me. But thank you, everybody. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Dawson.
Yeah, once again, just to reiterate, great job. The community pulling together, love to see community at the park. Any opportunity that we can get community together is a good opportunity. Want to also reiterate once again with the police department, we live in Western Woods, and there was an officer going around. They were having a great time handing out candy. The kids were impressed. We thought the police chief was in the car, which we thought was very scary, but he was somewhere else in the city. But great showing by the police department. The city of Fairview obviously is safe, but just that officer out there, it just adds a different element. It is truly community policing at its finest, so thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Lucas.
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Rainey.
Well, I just want to reaffirm what Derek said. I mean, I think at 10:30, I looked at him and I said, what if we've done all this and no one comes? And so we started selling tickets, and truly it never stopped. There was not a time to even take a break. Our judges did a great job. I think even they had fun. So next year, it's October the 17th. Is that the tentative date for the second annual? So be planning. But thank you all for making this possible.
Thank you, thank you, ma'am. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.